What's up, YouTube listeners? Just watched the Bounce TV Friday night fight thing, and boxing, boy, I tell you. The first fight featured two undefeateds. A guy named Jamonte, the Quiet Assassin Clark. He was 12-0, 7 knockouts. He's from Cincinnati, Ohio, and the boxing card was in Toledo, Ohio. And he took on Ivan Golub from New York by way of Russia. This was Premier Boxing on Bounce TV. I thought that Golub won the fight. Golub was 13-0, 11 knockouts. Clark 12-0, well, 11-0, 7 knockouts, I'm sorry. And Clark won the fight according to the judges. So he moved to 12-0 with 7 knockouts. Thought Golub won the fight. Golub was on the attack most of the night. And Clark used every centimeter, every foot of the ring to get away from Golub in the fight. And but Clark just wasn't busy enough. He used a lot of movement. Golub cut the ring off, and when they got close, don't get me wrong, Clark landed his shots at points, but he wasn't busy enough at all. I'd like to see the statistics related to punches thrown and landed and what have you. Clark got away with multiple fouls that weren't called, and at the end, when I heard 8 rounds, when I heard scores of 79-73, 77-75, 77-75, I figured Golub won the fight. A road victory against a home state guy. But I thought he would win, especially when they said 79-73. I'm like, okay, they got it right. And then when they announced Clark, I said to myself, okay, these European fighters seems to be happening to Russia a lot. And when I say Russia, I'm talking about guys with Russian blood, whether it's Kazakhstan or the Russia as we know it today, which is not the USSR from back in the day. Croatia, Yugoslavia, stuff where Russia was pretty much broken up into different countries. So, Lomachenko, Kovayev, now you can add Golub to the list. These guys, these Russians and these Eastern fighters, they just can't get wins over here in their biggest fights. And I'm the type, look, if it's over there, somewhere, anywhere, and an American deserves to win, they deserve to win. But if they deserve to lose, they deserve to lose also. But I'll focus on the Russians. They just it's continuing to be a weird or bad year. Bad couple of years in some cases. They just can't get a win in their biggest fights. You hear that, Golovkin? Anything close in September and you lose, buddy. So, Austin, no doubt, Trout justified the fight as a very close fight, and he understood how they would give the decision to Clark. It wasn't all that close. And Austin, I called you out on Twitter, and I'm calling you out here. Austin there was no doubt Golub won, and you know it. I mean, even the Ohioans knew it, and they booed the decision for their home state guy afterwards. Those weren't Russians that were booing. It was, I won't say they booed their guy, they booed the decision. This is why the Boxing Commission in my home state of New Jersey continues to be rated #1 in the United States. You remember the dubious Arislandi Lara Paul Williams decision? And you remember how Larry Hazard stepped in and suspended those judges? Well, if you believe Clark won, I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. However, the fact is he lost. And whoever had it 79-73 for Clark should have their judge's license suspended for at least a year. Anyway, and you know what? Now that I think about it, I can't recall if it was Larry Hazard that was our commissioner or not at that time, because there was a brief time where they brought in another commissioner, and Aaron Davis, big Aaron Davis. So I'm not, maybe Davis was there, and then Hazard came back a little thereafter. But the point is, New Jersey sent a message that if you come here, I mean, this is how we're going to do it. Anyway, the second fight featured the return of Julian Williams. Williams was 22-1-1 coming into the fight, and he was back from his first loss in December. It was a title challenge that he had in December against Jamal Charlo. So he fought Joshua Conley, who also had one loss and one draw in 16 fights. Williams won every round of the fight and stopped Conley in the 7th. Williams did suffer a cut over his right eye, but at the pace these PBC guys are fighting, it'll be well healed when he steps into the ring again, for sure. Conley, he seemed scared from the opening bell, and he was just scared to open up for the entire fight. Oddly enough, the few times he did open up, he found success, especially with his left hook. But Williams took his time. He listened to his corner, and eventually he stepped up, going from tentative to a more pronounced assault, and he caused Conley's corner to eventually throw in the towel. So they threw the towel. Williams got hit a few more times than I would have liked to see from a guy who really wasn't mounting any offense. However, it was Julian's first fight back. I'm not going to be too hard on him. But after a few more quality wins, as he steps the competition back up, I'd like to see him fight the other Charlo brother in a title challenge. I think that would be pretty decent. But once again, at the pace that the premier fighters are going, that title challenge might not happen until 2019. Jeez. Williams, he's got some very good signs on him, but I also see a few bad ones too. Julian looks like he's got the look of a guy who can still be countered big time. I just didn't like how the counters that Conley threw were landing. And he has to watch himself. Julian has to watch himself when he's coming out of the combinations. I think he's also a guy who can be out hustled a little bit, kind of like the same way with the countering. I mean, Conley was catching him at points, but it could have been a case where Williams kind of knew what was in front of him, and he didn't view it as a major threat. So we'll see, but a good win for him, for sure. Now the crowd kind of booed a little bit for lack of action, but Julian Williams reminds me of an ex-college basketball player years ago named Deion Thomas. Thomas got caught up in this NCAA scandal when a coach recorded him saying that he got a truck and some money, kind of like as a favor to attend a school, Illinois. And rumor had it was as much as like $70,000. So when I saw Thomas play, I'm like, you offered this guy a truck and all that money? I mean, I didn't. I'm like, well, come on, man, where is it at? I mean, I don't see anything. I mean, where's the payoff? Then I saw him play again, and I realized that he was actually a good player. He wasn't flashy, but he just got the job done. And I think that's Julian Williams. Not a lot of flash, but he's a get the job done kind of fighter. So, a good win for him. In the main event, the Easter Bunny, Robert Easter Jr., defended his title against Denis Shafikov. Now, I'm going to try to get Robert Easter Jr., do a little telephone interview with him next week. I got to get that Amir Mansour video too. I mean, boy, I tell you. I should have, a couple of months ago, I should have interviewed Mansour, and Easter, I tried to get Easter before too, but it kind of got messed up. I won't say any names, Nikila Taylor, but we're gonna see if we can get the Easter Bunny. Now, in this fight, many people online believe that Shafikov won, and I thought that Austin Trout correctly had Shafikov up after about, I think it was 6 or 7 rounds. He had Denis up by 2 points. However, I noticed at the end of the fight, they didn't show Austin Trout's card. And I wanted to see it. I wanted to see how he had it. I'm sure he had it extremely close, but I don't know what he had. And since I called him out on Twitter, he probably is not going to respond to me if I ask him how he scored it. Robert Easter Jr. got beat up tonight, but he gave his share of punishment too. This was a close one that Easter Jr. may have lost. Gotta be honest. And I like him. I mean, I really like Robert Easter. I think he's got some tools. It's just, he's not, well, let me continue. Remember, Robert Easter Jr. is from Toledo, Ohio. And the fight tonight was in Toledo, Ohio. Okay, this is boxing, and you know what you're dealing with. Guys from Toledo, fights in Toledo. He's a champion. If you're Shafikov, you know what you have to do. So Shafikov fought him like it. He fought him like it, too. I mean, he knew what he had to do. And I think he might have deserved a close nod here. But so we go to the scorecards. And Easter won a unanimous decision. One judge had it 116-112, which is a bit too wide. However, the other two judges both scored the fight 120-108. Those two judges should not be suspended like the aforementioned judge in the Golub fight. These two judges need to have their licenses revoked. They should be terminated from judging the sport of boxing. No way Robert Easter Jr. won 120-108. It's criminal to have that scorecard, and to be honest, those judges' bank statements should be investigated. My God. So the Easter Bunny remains undefeated at 20-0, 14 knockouts. Shafikov drops to 38-3-1 as he loses in his third and maybe his final title shot. So Easter Jr. is a potential challenger to Gervonta Davis. You got Jorge Linares, you got Mikey Garcia, Orlando Salido, Felix Verdejo. You got some names out there, so we'll see. For Easter Jr., there are pretty much three things I'd like to see him work on. First thing is his jab. His jab is more of a backhand type jab, which is illegal, by the way. And when you throw a backhand type jab, it's difficult to bring it back up to kind of block punches after you throw it. And he may have learned that tonight. Secondly, when you fight a lefty, when you fight a southpaw, you have to move to your left, away from your opponent's left hand. Easter Jr. moved right almost the entire night and kept getting hit. Take a look at his eye at the end of the fight. It's puffed up. The third thing is, this is the second or third fight where Easter Jr. fought the wrong fight. He's 6 foot tall in the lightweight division. Folks, that means he's 6 foot tall and 135 pounds. I mean, it just... So everyone he fights is usually at the very least 4 inches shorter than him. I mean, it just looks irregular. You got to wonder how, and that's going to be one of my questions, how much longer can he make weight? And I understand there's some trouble up there at 140, but man, how much longer can he do it at that height? He kind of reminded me of Lennox Lewis when he tried to throw the uppercut, or when he worked inside. I remember how Lennox Lewis had to kind of squat down late in his fight with Mike Tyson, trying to land the uppercut, trying to throw the straight right. It just looked funny. I mean, at his height. And Easter gives up his height too much in favor of fighting inside. He needs to use his length better and keep guys off of him. Robert Easter Jr., he kind of goes to war unnecessarily. And tonight, that was right up Shafikov's alley. And Easter paid for it. He got beat up a little bit. He'll be taking an ice bath or doing something in a hot tub somewhere. It was a decent night of action. Bad night of decisions, for sure. I didn't watch the Golden Boy on ESPN card because, which kind of a little counter programming thing. It kind of ran around the same time because ESPN had technical difficulties. So every time I kept changing channels, they had the Paul George trade to Oklahoma City discussion, and I'm thinking, okay, well maybe it's on ESPN News. Nope. ESPN 2. Nope. Or ESPN, I should say. Nope. ESPNU. Nope. So I was like, okay. And not that Bounce TV didn't have their own technical difficulties. I mean, they were running spots, and then halfway through a commercial would kind of pop up. They were doing a little feature on Julian Williams talking about his comeback, and then as he's talking, it just goes to that 1-800 whatever, and so they had their share of difficulties too, but Bounce got theirs straightened out before ESPN, so I kind of stuck with the Bounce card. Manny Pacquiao fights Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time on that same ESPN. Let's hope they get their signal together by 9 p.m. Eastern. So you get 3.5 hours of boxing. 3.5 hours of boxing. And I'm sure they're going to run some advertisements talking about something that I'll mention in a minute. So don't forget to check out Manny Pacquiao tomorrow, ESPN. They also got a running stream on ESPN with a countdown clock on it to kind of like remind you all day long. And it's been running. I caught it at like the 22-hour mark. Turned back again. It's 18 hours away. So. If you turn to ESPN, you're not going to be able to help but notice it. So that's cool. They're trying to get their money. Also, early Saturday morning, if you can get up, I believe it's 11 a.m. Eastern. Alexander Povetkin takes on Andre Rudenko, and you can get it via a free stream on your computer. You can watch it on your computer, or if you have an Android cable box like some of us do, then you don't have to worry about the computer stream, if you know what I mean. So on the Pacquiao undercard, you got Michael Conlan versus Jared Owens. Conlan has a lot of hype behind him as he won the medal in the Olympics for Ireland. And I saw Michael Conlan's pro debut live at the Madison Square Garden, and I wasn't impressed. I did a video on it. Was not impressed. I saw some hand speed issues, and the guy, he just kind of missed all night. He got a stoppage. Come on. It's his first fight. He's an Olympian. You're going to get a stoppage, but man, boy, he swung and missed a lot before he got that stoppage. Maybe I'm being too hard on the kid, but this is fight number 3, I believe, for him, so we'll see tomorrow. We'll see what it looks like. Shane Mosley Jr., 10 wins, 1 loss, 7 knockouts, takes on undefeated David Toussaint, 10-0, 8 knockouts. I think that's going to open the show. So you get 4 fights. And IBF Flyweight Championship also as the co-feature, as champion Jerwin and Kakis defends his title against Tiru Kenoshita. So I think those boys are going to go at it, those flyweights. Listen, Manny Pacquiao should beat Joe Horn by technical knockout or knockout. I think Pacquiao's knockout drought should end on Saturday night. It goes back to 2009, I believe. Was it 9 or 8? against Miguel Cotto. So when I take a look at Horn, he doesn't do a lot for me. I mean, he hits hard, and if he catches you with one of those hard shots, it's lights out, believe me. He's put some dudes away. Quality guys, a couple. But from a footwork standpoint, he is greatly overmatched in this fight. And I think that'll carry Manny through in this fight. Now, the only thing that comes to mind, excuse me, is age. Manny Pacquiao is 38 years old, and it reminds me of a 35-year-old Costa Tszyu who was on top of the world. And he took a fight, took on a young guy named Ricky Hatton, and he went to Hatton's hometown, money grab, saw some bigger money there and said, okay, I'll go over and defend against this guy. And the end result was Hatton out-hustled him, and he shocked the older Tszyu and forced Tszyu to quit. And I believe that's going to happen to Manny one day, but not with Horn. Not with Horn. No. Yes, Manny slacked off in training, according to some insiders, and his frame is much smaller than it was circa 2009, 2010, what have you. But Horn would have to fight perfectly and be on some kind of substance to win this fight, in my opinion. So I'll take Manny by stoppage. Now, going back to the card, what you may see, speaking of streams and advertisements, what you may see throughout the night is it looks like VASYL Lomachenko versus Miguel Mariaga will be on ESPN August 5th. And also Terence Crawford's unification fight with Indongo will go on August 19th. I expect Shakur Stevenson to be on one of those cards, or maybe he'll get one of his own on ESPN. Now, for those who continue to believe Lomachenko is ducking Guillermo Rigondeaux, you people kill me. First of all, Rigo just fought. Secondly, he still doesn't know if an immediate rematch is going to be ordered by those sanctioning body, by the sanctioning body. So word slipped out that Lomachenko and Salido would be fighting in August, or if that deal couldn't be made, then Lomachenko had another opponent. So they take advantage of this intel and take advantage of the situation with a call out. So people don't want to go back and talk about how Team Lomachenko, Top Rank, whoever it was back then, they called your bluff out twice some years ago, Loma, and agreed to meet at your weight, and you balked on it both times. So you just had a fight. Don't know if a rematch will be ordered. And Lomachenko has a date with 2 opponents already lined up in case one falls through, which it did. Why would he fight you next? And why would you fight him next? When there's just you knew he had something lined up. In other words, if Lomachenko just fought a couple of weeks ago and then they were about to announce Rigo's fight, it would work the other way. But because you fought first, now it's like, I'll fight you. Well, that's not how it works, man. I mean, you already have something lined up. So use your brain, folks. If this fight happens within the next 2 years, it'll be a cakewalk. I'll just leave it at that. But just make sure you're around when it happens so I can give you the old LeVar Ball, I told you so. Maybe we'll see a super fight with this top-ranked new deal, like a Pacquiao versus Crawford on ABC, or something almost as big on ABC instead of ESPN. I think ESPN is maybe like, I won't call it the minor leagues or something like that, but maybe it's like a football matchup on a regular Sunday between two teams that, and then you got prime time, you got Monday Night Football. And so that's, I think, where the ABC portion of the deal comes in. Maybe, I don't know. Nobody knows at this point, but stay tuned.